Unfortunately, we cannot hear the speaker. He has his microphone muted. So hopefully we will let the speaker know so that he should unmute his microphone. And Irat, who is currently the speaker on this inner stage section, has his microphone muted. So we'll be waiting for Irat to unmute the mic and resume from there. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Irat Mukhametshin. I have the head of the design team on security of the computer-aided manufacturing solutions in the inner stage company. And my presentation is related to the risks of the cybersecurity at hazardous production facilities. Briefly, here is a topic of my presentation. We'll be considering the problems, where this problem is rooted. We'll be shedding some light on goals and targets. And then we'll consider much more in detail the actual work conducted at such facilities and benefits generated from this approach. Of course, I welcome your questions during the course of this presentation. So hopefully I'll take these questions in the end and answer to all of them. First of all, I would like to highlight the problem. When we manage security, especially at hazardous production facilities to which the technological processes, management systems relate at hazardous facilities, we see that the growing number of abusers and attackers is a threat. The complexity of these systems is getting higher and higher. There are plenty of notorious examples explaining the cybersecurity threats. Stuxnet, for instance, and the Petya virus, the notorious one, the blackout of power lines in Ukraine, etc. It's just a tip of the iceberg, which has been which has been made public. But of course, the number of such incidents are not limited to those only. And legally, the responsibilities for such violations are stipulated. How do we evaluate the consequences and how we simulate such activities? Well, there are methods suggested to do that, but this has not been officially authorized and approved yet. So we all deal with some probabilities, more or less. And the budget allocated for cybersecurity is also a dubious thing. Actually, cybersecurity as such is not an asset. It's the production processes that are an asset and the source of profitability. And the production is the key here to which the money goes. And the cybersecurity is a remainder budget-wise. We have to be very careful in using different kinds of protection methods. Sometimes the compatibility of different antivirus software is an issue, and which files should be scrutinized, and how do we run a backup without actually interrupting the computer-aided manufacturing system, which should run 24/7. These are the issues, and many others as well. Here I would like to show you the relation of the industrial security, cybersecurity, and the possible damage inevitably due to CAAM systems started using the same technologies as the telecom networks, and very often, technology-wise, they are not much different these days. Thus, rising computer crimes going up entails more and more threats breaking the production integrity, leading to various numerous issues in production security. In a classic example, cybersecurity is an issue, but apart from that, we would like to take a step forward and connect cybersecurity and industrial security. What we target here at is to identify the negative outcomes that result from computer-related incidents. So we just need to address not the question about the attack itself, but also the aggravations in the aftermath. How do we measure the losses in money terms? So when the budgets are verified and approved by the management, the more frequent question would sound like, and how much would this security solution cost us? And what would be it worthwhile? How do we monetize on that? So we just need to have a specific answer to this question. We just need to stipulate and make such costs reasonable, and we have to make a purposeful choice of these means of data protection tools and set the priorities right in providing cybersecurity protection. We may have also questions from professional backgrounds, and the solutions of the cybersecurity may be based upon their own experience. So sometimes if the person was interested about such things or had been exposed to a training, they would start maintaining cybersecurity at a due level where they work. That's the first approach. The second approach is a kind of a reluctant, dormant approach before a serious incident occurs. Or maybe some simulation during which a model has been tested and then the measures are taken to neutralize the possible threats. If there is no such thing, there would be the fourth way of collecting some marketing events and collecting marketing materials related to antivirus protection, cybersecurity protection. Such events show us some summary from the best practices in the industry, which may be used as a good example to follow and avoid possible aggravations. And also it's based upon the analysis of risks of cybersecurity. All these things can be applied in identifying business critical process at hazardous production facilities. They do exist there anyway. And first and foremost, you just need to highlight these business critical processes. Everything is more or less because of the financial input, and the money expression of these risks can be served as a good performance indicator, can be served as a good indicator. And the measures taken to set the priorities right are important. So what would have to address first and foremost? What would have to be the most important thing to protect, and what would be the outcomes? And also the risk management is quite important here. The thing is that the Western approach may be different from the one used here in Russia. In Russia, the regulations components are pretty tight. If you take a look at the Western standards and other institutions from the West, they are more risk management oriented. And we suggest that we merge regulatory components and risk analysis and risk management and have a nice hybrid solution from that. So what would be the source data for us on this pathway? First of all, it's the information security, cybersecurity, which would use the model of threats and the statistics of incidents, mostly taken from open sources. For industrial security, you would have to have the functional design, the protocols of data transfer, and different parametric data required. If you would like to tie it together with the industrial security, you just need to have a declaration, the hazardous production facility certificate, flow chart, the flow chart of all of the technological processes used in the production facility, the automation of such and such processes, etc. What does risk analysis start with? It starts with the methodology. So they would like to identify information assets and information resources in money terms. So they would just indicate the cost of an information solution utilized here, and the cost of the downtime, identification of the consequences of such threats applied to each particular asset, and measuring the potential damage from each threat, and the evaluation of a probability of cybersecurity threats. This will impact the evaluation of the risk itself, of whether this risk is acceptable or not acceptable. Further down the road, we just take the efficiency of the measures implemented, and the worst case scenario may be considered, the aggravated scenario in a hazardous production facility. Then we'd take statistics and the analysis, possible damage definition from each threat during a specific span of time, the probability approach, and then the analysis of the acceptance of this risk. So the risk may be acceptable or completely unacceptable. How would we split the roles between these sides, the executor and the customer? Of course, it should be all related with the competences of the staff employed. It is all used with the direct involvement of the personnel. and the customer is sending standard information about such a hazardous production facility, sends the information regarding the asset for the facility that needs protection, and the executor would have to clarify the source data. They would have to clarify or create the model that will be applied to eliminate all possible arising security threats. Then it's done as joint activity of a customer and executor, with the experts on technology coming up with the list of possible aggravated consequences in case the damage is done. We cannot define, the executor cannot define the limits of acceptable damage. For example, 1 million rubles, whether it's an acceptable amount of damage or not. It's not decided by the executor, it's decided by the customer. And these numbers would set the scale to evaluate the damage. Then they would consider primary, secondary, and tertiary consequences of the incident, and the registry of risks is made up, so which includes acceptable and unacceptable risks. It also results in some reporting documents that you can see here on the slide, showing a list of assets, showing the value of the assets, their approximate value, which is the size and the amount and the level of the damage. Either it's irreversible damage, or if repair was taken place or the downtime had taken place, can also be measured in money terms, and it is also indicated here. Followed by primary, secondary, and tertiary consequences related to the production facility or a production unit, and how this may impact production process in this whole facility. And the methodology of risk analysis is also applied here. The risk tree, the so-called risk tree, is used to demonstrate the possible outcomes for specific units, for specific controllers, switches, and the devices. That's what the registry of the cybersecurity risks is based upon, measuring the possible damage in money terms. Here is the decision tree that I mentioned. Starting from the actual incident, the event, you can see the program logical controller is a source of an incident. Either it may lead to failure and a temporary loss of a unit, or a complete loss of a unit. And we are using it with a specific production unit where they've got both units failing, or just one of them with the failing one switching to a backup unit. which does not lead to complete downtime. Then it goes to the industrial security and a what-if scenario. What happens if we are talking about the shutdown, an emergency shutdown, the destruction of a production unit? Such cases have been indicated as well. And also the consequences for the technological chain to which the production unit belongs and how it affects the whole production in the facility. The results would be the risk register with the names of the risks, with the damage done, the possible damage done, and ultimately we end up with the money terms, where we'd split them into acceptable and unacceptable. And what would be the advantages of such approach? Well, first of all, we have a very clear and transparent report about the economic damage from such incidents. The risk registry would show you the highly problematic and vulnerable areas, and also the money evaluation of such risks is the direct need for implementing cybersecurity solutions. Thus, it will simplify to align and adopt the budgets allocated for security protection, cybersecurity protection. That's all. I'm done. Thank you very much. And I hope you have a few questions. Thank you very much.